Hi, welcome back to class. This week starts with correlational research. We are done with the other research method, which is known as the descriptive research, and we have come to correlational research. So I think in my other video I was like, this was the last class. I was like, it was the last video for research methods, but what I meant was that it was the last video for the research methods under descriptive research. Okay, so I would like to correct it in this video. All right, so let's get into this class. Yeah, so have you ever noticed that students who sleep more tend to get better grades, or that people who exercise regularly tend to report higher happiness levels? Well, these observations are everywhere, but noticing a pattern is not the same as proving a relationship. And that is exactly what correlational research does. It gives us the tools to measure whether two things genuinely move together and by how much. Okay, hello, I am Viola. Welcome back to class and welcome to my channel. This is the class for correlational research, and this is where research methods get seriously interesting. So correlational research is defined as a method for identifying predictive relationships or relationship among the natural occurring variables without manipulating anything. So the last part matters a lot. Okay, the researcher does not change anything. He or she does not try to manipulate. They observe what already exists in the world and look for patterns. So a correlation exists when two measures of the same people vary together, right? So the classic example for this would be IQ score and academic achievement. You can see that as one rises, the other tends to rise too. All right, so the tool we use to measure this relationship is the correlation coefficient, written as R. It ranges from minus 1.002 plus 1.00. Okay, so the magnitude tells you how strong the relationship is. The sign, which is the positive or negative, tells you the direction. Right, so all data in correlational studies is collected in three ways. As we've already said, you can collect it with questionnaires or through interviews, or yes, possibly official records. All right, so let's move on. Now, the three types of correlation, because not all relationships work the same way. On the left column, we have the positive correlation, where both variables move in the same direction, right? Example is something like more study hours lead or is related to higher exam scores. Also, another example can be more exercise has a correlational relationship with higher life satisfaction scores. All right, and the arrow is between 0 and plus 1.00. Okay, and we have the negative correlation, where one variable goes up as the other goes down. So something like more stress, okay, links with lower immune function, or more screen time is related to less sleep quality. So R in this place is between 0 and minus 1.00. And remember, negative correlation or a negative coefficient score does not mean that the relationship between these two variables are weak, right? A correlation of minus 0.80 is extremely strong. Okay, so negative refers to direction only, right? Also, we have here in the right column another type of correlation, which is zero correlation. This is there is no predictable relationship at all between a particular variable and a particular variable. For example, shoe size and intelligence. There is actually no correlation between shoe size and intelligence. So knowing one tells you absolutely nothing about the other, and the coefficient score for this is at 0 or near 0, right? So let's talk about a real life example. Meet Akosia. Akosia is a public health researcher investigating whether stress levels are linked to academic performance among 200 university students in Accra. Right. So she cannot ethically manipulate stress, or you cannot assign one group of students to be stressed and another to be calm. So she observes naturally occurring levels of stress and GPA across her sample, and she finds that her coefficient score, which is R, is equals to 0.61, and this is a moderate negative correlation between stress and academic levels. Between stress and academic performance. Okay, so she says that as the stress scores increase, GPA scores tend to decrease. So this means that there is a real meaningful pattern emerging from data that already existed in the world. But here is what Akosia cannot do, and this is critical for our next class, right? She cannot conclude that stress causes lower GPA. All right, sleep deprivation might drive both, but in difficult financial circumstances might drive both also. The correlation shows the pattern, but it cannot explain it. All right, so what is our key takeaway for this class? 3 things. Number 1, correlational research identifies relationship between naturally occurring variables without the researcher manipulating anything. So the world is observed as it is. Also, the correlation coefficient R gives you the strength and direction, and this is from minus 1.00 to plus 1.00. Okay, so the further from 0, the stronger, and the sign tells you which way it runs. Number 3 is the most important rule: correlation does not establish causation. All right, the rule is so important that it gets its own class, and very soon I'll see you there in the next class.